Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Learn English with Podcast. I'm Mark, and as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Sarah. How are you today, Sarah?
I'm doing great, Mark. I'm especially excited about today's topic because it involves two things I absolutely love: history and coffee.
Ah, coffee, the fuel of the world. You know, Sarah, I was walking past a Starbucks this morning here in London, and it was packed. There were people working on laptops, students chatting, and tourists taking photos of their frappuccinos. It feels like Starbucks is everywhere, doesn't it?
It really does. They have over 30,000 stores worldwide. But there is one country where the green siren has had a very, very difficult time. A country that actually inspired the creation of Starbucks in the first place.
You're talking about Italy, right?
Exactly. It's a fascinating story. For decades, Starbucks stayed away from Italy. When they finally arrived in 2018, people were asking, can an American coffee chain survive in the land of espresso?
And that is what we are exploring today. Why did Starbucks struggle, and some say even fail, to conquer the Italian market? It's a lesson in culture, business, and of course, great English vocabulary.
Before we get into the failure part, we have to mention the irony. Howard Schultz, the man who built the Starbucks empire, actually got his idea while visiting Milan in the 80s.
That's right. He saw the Italian coffee bars, the sense of community, and the theater of the barista, and he wanted to bring that back to Seattle. So, in a way, Starbucks is an American version of an Italian tradition.
But when they returned to Milan in 2018 with that massive reserve roastery, it felt a bit like trying to sell ice to people living in the North Pole.
I love that expression. They didn't just open a small shop, they opened a palace of coffee. But even with all that luxury, the Italian public was skeptical. Sarah, why do you think the average Italian person didn't just run inside for a pumpkin spice latte?
Well, Mark, it comes down to a fundamental clash of cultures. In the US and the UK, coffee is often a long experience. You buy a giant cup and walk around with it, or you sit for 2 hours. In Italy, coffee is a ritual that lasts about 3 minutes.
That is a huge point. In Italy, you walk into a bar, you say buongiorno to the barista, you drink your espresso standing up at the counter, and you leave. It's fast, it's social, and most importantly, it's cheap.
Exactly. You can get a world-class espresso in any Italian piazza for about €1, maybe €1.20. Then Starbucks arrives and charges €5 or €6 for a complex drink.
I can imagine the reaction. An Italian grandmother seeing a €6 coffee probably thinks it's a joke.
It's not just the price, though. It's the identity. Italians take immense pride in their coffee heritage. To many, Starbucks represents the industrialization of something that should be artisanal and simple.
So it's a matter of, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Italy already had the perfect coffee system. Starbucks tried to introduce the third place concept, the idea of a space between home and work, but Italians already have that. It's their local neighborhood bar.
We should be fair, though. Starbucks hasn't completely closed down in Italy. They have opened several stores now, but they had to change their strategy. They realized they couldn't compete with the local bar.
Right, they had to target a specific demographic. Mostly tourists who want something familiar and younger, Italians who are influenced by American pop culture and social media.
But even then, the growth has been much slower than they projected. They expected to have hundreds of stores by now, and they are nowhere near that. In business terms, when you miss your targets by that much, it's often viewed as a failure of market entry.
It's a classic example of a saturated market. There is a coffee shop on every corner in Italy. Why would you go to a giant corporation when Mario at the corner bar knows your name, knows exactly how you like your coffee, and charges you a fraction of the price?
Mark, we use some really interesting expressions today. I think we should talk about them so our listeners can use them too. For example, you said the market was saturated.
Yes, that's a great word. When we say a market is saturated, we mean it's so full of a certain product that there is no room for a new company to grow. It's like a sponge that can't hold any more water.
That's a perfect way to explain it. I could say, the smartphone market is saturated. Everyone already has one. It's very common in business English.
Definitely. And you used a great phrase earlier, to take pride in something. You said Italians take pride in their coffee heritage.
Right. To take pride in something means to feel a sense of satisfaction or honor regarding a quality or an achievement. You don't just like it, it's part of your identity. For instance, you could say, "He takes great pride in his garden. He spends every weekend making it perfect."
I should take more pride in my cooking then. Maybe it would taste better.
Yes, maybe. Another one we mentioned was to be skeptical. I said the Italian public was skeptical of Starbucks.
I love that word because it's so useful for expressing doubt. If you are skeptical, you aren't sure if something is true or if it will work. Like I'm skeptical about this new diet. It sounds too good to be true.
Exactly. It's a bit stronger than just saying, "I don't know." It implies you are questioning the validity of something. And finally, Mark, you used a fun idiom, to sell ice to people in the North Pole.
Oh, I love that one. We also say to sell ice to Eskimos. It describes a situation where you are trying to sell something to people who already have plenty of it or who don't need it at all.
It's the ultimate sales challenge. If you can sell ice to the North Pole, you are a master salesperson, but in the case of Starbucks in Italy, it was just unnecessary.
It really was. It's a great reminder that even the biggest companies in the world have to respect local culture. You can't just copy and paste a business model everywhere.
Well, Mark, I think I've talked so much about coffee that I actually need one now. But I think I'll stick to my local cafe today.
Good choice. Thank you everyone for listening to this long dive into the world of Starbucks in Italy. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and picked up some useful phrases for your next business meeting or coffee date.
Don't forget to practice those new words. Try to use skeptical or take pride in at least once today.
Until next time, keep learning and keep practicing. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.